With the recording? Okay. So, ladies, now I'm going to step away so I don't get any feedback. And I'd like to ask the group of you now, before or now during that you're, in the business of Wakanna, do you have office space dedicated to your business? Last year, I'm speaking of, because we're dealing with 2022 tax returns. Do you have an office space or space dedicated to this business in your home that you live in now, whether you rent or whether you pay mortgage?
Yes.
And you can put in the chat, and I can, determine how many people will say yes within the chat to see who has office space dedicated towards the business. Let's see. I'm going to move my head out the way. I see.
And my understanding too, it doesn't have to be an office, right, Stephanie? It could just be a desks in a
Yep.
corner, square footage.
That is absolutely correct. A closet. Anything that you're using to take up space for your business is a deduction based on the square footage of your home in ratio to the square footage of your entire home. So say your entire home or apartment, let's just be kind and say it's 1,500 square feet. It's nice and even right there. And you've dedicated about 500 square feet of that. So a third of it to your business. Well, you divide the 500 by the 1,500 and you have roughly about 33%. So 33% of your rent can be deducted. Does that make sense? And that's up to $1,000 per month. Don't try to exceed 1,000. You will slowly but surely send red flags to your paperwork and you'll be audited. And I'm not going to be able to help you with that because they're going to want to see why and how. You know what I mean? So just keep it reasonable and customary when you're making these deductions and when you're trying to, save money. So that's in relation to space. It could be an office space, it could be a closet, whatever it is that you're dedicating to business, that is a deduction. Now, let's go to something basic like a cell phone. Now, if you have a landline, your mobile phone could be 100% written off. Dedicated to business, period. Your cell phone bill. Now, if that's $100 a month, whatever, written off. Now, if there's a certain percentage that they've capped it off at for 2022 because they like to change the rules, I will find that out and I will send that to you. The same thing with your utilities. There's a percentage of your utilities that can be written off. The same thing with your gas that you put in your car. You just have to decipher whether it's commuting miles, business miles, and then there's another term of miles. And you add that all up, figure out what it is that you spent, that you've driven, and then I'll account for the percentage that it is for miles and give you the feedback on what that amount is so that you can bring that to your tax preparer. So we have gas. We have make and model of your car because you can get a deduction, a 179 deduction on the car alone, just on the car alone. But now if you're putting it towards business, it's even more of a deduction. And if you have a green car, an energy-friendly car, that's a double deduction. You see that? So we can talk about the details of deductions, but I just want to go over some basic others as a Wakanna-preneur that you're entitled to. So you spent this money on inventory and office supplies, not just the office space or the closet, but the things in that office space. You spent money on flyers and business cards and little bags or little suitcases that hold the inventory. I travel with bags on my back all the time. You could have purchased a laptop. These things are deductions. They're work equipment. Does everybody understand what I'm saying when I say that? These are things that you bought solely because you were in the business. And for those reasons, those are write-offs. Meals that you've had, meals that you wouldn't have eaten if it weren't for the fact that you were in the business. Travel, trips and conferences and things of that nature that you wouldn't have gone on unless it wasn't for the business. Does that make sense? Now, You're not going to be able to get away with every deduction that everybody else gets away with. Do not attempt to say, I wouldn't have bought this gown for this conference. Okay. If it wasn't for Wakanna. We do not have or designated certain costumes for this business as of yet. Now, if it is a Wakanna t-shirt, like if it has the emblem or the signature, I don't want to call it paraphernalia. That's a wrong word. What is a proper word for it, Fatima? I would call it uniforms, but it has to have the Wakanna emblem on it so that you can give it deductions for that. Okay. So anything directly in relation to Wakanna, that is something that you can write off. You won't be able to write off getting your hair done because everybody's going to get their hair done. If you were into entertainment, then you can write off your hair and your nails and your toes. But you have to be reasonable. Don't be outlandish. You know what I'm saying? Don't draw negative attention to your paperwork. Okay. Now I've been talking for about, well, a little less than 10 minutes, and I want to know if anyone has questions so far.
I did have a question. You mentioned about if you have a landline, you can write off totally your cell phone.
Yes, ma'am.
So would it be advantageous to just get that number that comes along with the plan that you have, in even if you don't use the landline, but to have it and still write off all of your cell phone?
I would suggest it if that's something that people want to do. I would highly recommend you do that because 9 times out of 10, I don't think that extra line comes to more than about $15 to, let's say, $30. I'm not sure who you're with, but I know that Spectrum is offering me a free line for the first 12 months because I've recently moved. And then thereafter, I think the line is only going to be $19.99. And then my new cell phone line that I'm going to dedicate, because I'm going to get a whole totally different phone, for I think about $10.91, and the insurance is about $12.99, and then the actual plan will be $29.99. So for another $50, that will be something else that I'm going to look to see if I can write off under another business that I have. So you see how advantageous it can be just to yourself and then be eligible for even more deductions. But again, it has to be reasonable and customary. So yes, Fatima, you're correct. Getting that landline would secure that cell phone bill being 100% written off.
Also, all of the vending fees and things that we paid throughout the year, contributions we've made to that.
Commissions, fees, memberships, absolutely. Those are absolute tax deductions. Then one of the first few that appear on the, ladies, take a note, Schedule C. It's called a 1040 Schedule C. It, how do you say, it calculates pretty much your profit or your loss. It's your profit and loss statement. It's a part of all the other 179,000 tax documents that you're going to have to fill out. They're not going to readily give it to you, though. They'll give you your W-2s, and they'll give you your W-4s and your IT 201s and all that. But your Schedule C, you're going to have to fish for that. Your K1s, the things that will get you back deductions and money, it's your job to know that that's entitled to you. You see that? They'll give you the documents that show you what you're going to owe them if you're not wise enough to do the research on what they owe you. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Does anybody else have any questions?
Yeah,
so
Mady asked, she put in the chat, she asked a question about an EIN number. One thing I learned here is that because we are in the network marketing business, there are things that we don't have to do because it's all under the auspices of Wakanna for Life. So we don't have to have a DBA. We don't have to have an LLC. We don't have to have any of those things to write off our income because we are under the auspices of Wakanna for Life. We are not employed by them, but we are direct, we're working or earning money, actually getting a commission for the work that we do for Wakanna for Life. So we're working on commission.
Right. Sure, indeed you are. And those documents are supporting the income that they are aware that you're making. Be cognizant of that, because it will report, let's say you made, I don't know, let's say you made 2,500. I'm not sure. But there are moments in time where you're earning money that is cash in hand. You're supposed to be recording that as well. Okay, document those things as well, because if they're going to ever inquire about how much money you made, you want to have proper record and be setting money aside to pay the taxes on that. But be aware of the money that you can take off the table, like I said before, as it relates to the expenses that you had, because the expenses will offset the income, where it could very well look as if you haven't made any money. So always keep proper account of what it is that you are earning and that you are spending. And I advise you to never mix your income that you are earning as an independent business owner with the money that you're making with, let's say your 9 to 5. You don't want to cross that information, because the expenses can get very muddled. You're like, was that Amazon purchase for Wakanna? Try to keep it separate. Have separate accounts. You can stay at the same bank, but have separate checking accounts. Okay, ladies, try not to swipe your same card that you buy your personal groceries with. And at the same time, you're going to Vegas and swiping for the meals that you're eating while you're traveling for business. Do your best to separate the business and the pleasure, okay? It makes it easier on you to account for things when you're closing out your end of the year, your books, or your bookkeeping, or it makes it easier for your accountant or your tax preparer, God willing you have a great one, to decipher what is going on with your finances. Any
To be
questions?
clear, you don't have to get a business account. You just need you're suggesting that we just get separate accounts.
No, I didn't say business account. It can be a business account if that's what you want it to be, but separating where the income is coming from is very important.
Yes, me and Maggie have a question. She had her hand up first.
I'm
You
gonna
said
let
Maggie,
you go.
Ms. Carter? Okay.
I'm sitting here trying to remember. I got so caught up in what they were saying.
That's what I was getting ready to write it down. So let's say from the beginning of this moment, 2023, February, everything from the year 2020 in Wakanna is all trash. I have nothing together. I have everything put together. I have nothing. Everything is mixed up. What I want to know is, how can I start from scratch today forward, moving forward? What do I need? What are the tools that I should have to start? Because this was not in the plan, in the mindset of going into this business. But it is important to know. So that I need to start somewhere. And
Absolutely.
and I made an appointment with you so that you can help me.
Yes, ma'am.
Untangle.
No.
How can I help you?
A large fry. Can I have a large fry, a 6-piece?
No,
Davis?
no, Ty, you can't have no fries.
Oh, shoot. Sorry, y'all.
You just did that cleanse.
Unless you want to
Stay away from the fries.
I'm
Walk
over
away
you
from
share
the
them
fries.
fries
I
with the
just
rest
want
of
to
us.
say that. Sorry.
Busted,
Busted.
Busted.
I'm not on the flat belly challenge just yet. Okay, so with respect to what you were saying, Mrs. Williams, nothing is unsalvageable. We could always dig back into your bank statements and look to see what you purchased, because you're going to know whether or not it was for Wakanna, because there's some certain things that are very specific. But moving forward, I would say, because it's always a case-by-case basis, when we sit down and we talk, of course we can move forward and make sure that everything is aligning the way you need it to. What I do for my dad is always going to be something that I would advise everyone else to do, because I do it for myself. Try to keep your receipts in envelopes by the month to track your spending. That's for personal. And then you're going to look at your personal spending and be able to decipher what it is that you're doing for business and personal. But you have to just begin with how you are spending, period. And then once you develop a habit of tracking those things, you'll be able to determine better what it is that you're doing personally and then professionally. So just begin to keep better, tighter logs. And then you can always consult with me. Hey, how do you, and what was best for X, Y, and Z? And I'll give you what I've done. I'll give you scenarios of other women that I've talked to who are in the finance and accounting field, because you're not just talking to me when you talk to me. You're talking to a team of another 4 women that I consult with on a regular basis. And the 5 of us who have 97 years of experience. One is a woman named Lori Jean Taylor, who ran a tax franchise out here for a number of years. And another is to Neil Pilgrim. She has her doctorate in forensic accounting. I refer to her often. A sister friend of mine named Lorraine Altamore. She is a CFO since she was 25. So she has 16 years of experience as a Black woman in corporate America. And then we have a friend of mine that I went to high school with. Her name is Tiffany Williams. She's a CPA. So these women and I, we talk regularly about what's going on in the tax and finance world to give you all the information that you need to, seal a deal on what it is that you are entitled to. Okay.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I got your back is what I'm saying.
Now I'm saying I already knew that. I appreciate that. That was good to know.
Absolutely.
And what the hell is forensic accounting? Oh my God. Oh
It's just,
my.
it's basically like the archives of accounting, old accounting. So yeah,
I
it's like
remember
dealing with
my
the
question.
bones of it. Of everything.
I
Maggie, you
remember
say
my
you remember?
Yeah, but it was way back. You guys keep saying DVM or DBM, and I'm not sure what that is.
Doing
Oh,
business.
DBA.
Doing business as. Like, for example, a very simple example. Jay-Z, okay? He's Sean Carter doing business as Jay-Z. See that?
Got it. So I'd be doing business as leaf doula.
What'd you say?
I guess I
If you
would
want.
do business as leaf doula.
What's your distributor name? Your Wakanna dispensary name?
That's
You
it.
could do business in any name you want to. Doesn't matter.
Whatever your dispensary name.
You
I'm
could
doing
be
business as
Magnolia Garden doing business as Simon Says, like whatever it is that you want. But that is an actual document though. A DBA is that is
You
paperwork. It's
file
not,
it.
there's levels to it. Your DBA, your LLC, all those things. But
Yeah.
it's not needed, It's if you want it.
One of the tools that I use that I think has been so helpful through the years is it's an app, because everything I want to organize, I don't want to have a lot of paper anywhere. I want my receipts on, in the cloud. I want my, everything in the cloud.
Yes, ma'am.
And even when I prepared my documents and things and sent them to Stephanie, I was able just to go through. I even went through my emails for receipts, pulled all those out.
Mhm.
I did a search for receipt, just up in the search bar, receipts. And I was able to pull all of those out and put them in a separate file right there out of my Gmail into another file that can be sent right to her. Same thing with the bank statements. You can go through your bank statements. My problem was that I wait to the end of the year to do it. I want to get better and do it month to month. The other thing, what was the other thing I wanted to say? Oh, I have an app called Cam Scanner, CAMSCANNER, Cam Scanner. And that app is phenomenal because you can take pictures. You can scan your receipts. I don't take receipts home. I don't put them in my purse or anything like that saying I'm going to put them on an envelope. When they give me that receipt or I sign that receipt in wherever I am, I'm going to take a picture of it using the Cam Scanner, and I file it in the file that it goes in, and I keep it moving. I even tear up the other receipt and throw it away because I don't need it anymore. Okay, so and I'm in the habit of doing that, and I've been doing that since 2019. And all of my receipts are right there. So now I'm getting better at filing them away for supplies, for meals, for travel. So I have those separate files within the Cam Scanner. So they go right there. And at the end of the year, all I did was send her the file. She gets the file.
Sure do.
Okay, I've done the work. You've done the work all year. You don't have to sit there at the end, but just getting in the habit of taking that picture immediately. In the post office, I will put it right down there. They give it to me. I put it right down there on the table, take the picture, throw the receipt away, and keep it moving.
Right. And realize, ladies, those receipts are worth money. Don't think that, it's only applying to your business in Wakanna. You can apply that to Fetch. Ibotta. There are a number of apps. I think there's a couple more that I'm going to put in the chat. But when you take a picture of these receipts, they can get you points towards gift cards. They can even garner you cash. That is why I randomly send you all links to these things, because when I eat at certain restaurants, I'm about to acquire my mom's car. When I'm getting gas at certain stations, I'm getting cash back on these receipts on money and money on cards that I've spent, patronizing these different businesses. So I'm going to send you those too, because why not spend the same money twice? Okay, you're going to be taxed on the same money 3 times. You are. Before you get your money, when you get your money, and if they feel as if you haven't paid enough taxes after that. So why do you think it's okay for them to take 50% of the money that you work for? Because that is what you're doing when you don't acknowledge the fact that you have power in your tax shelter, one of them being a Wakanna-preneur. Now, you could be crocheting on the side, giving squirrels haircuts and burping babies, and not making money for any of it, but spending a whole bunch of money on it. And for that reason, you are taking yourself out of the tax bracket that they think that you're in.
Yeah, that's true.
And you're not.
Yeah.
Everybody's like, girl, you make $150,000 a year and you bring home 80, if you're lucky.
Wow.
But the government doesn't know that, but they do. And they're counting on you not doing anything about it. What are you going to do about that? And do you have any questions about anything in addition to the fact that you are a Wakanna-preneur? Maybe you do have another hustle that we don't know about. And I don't want to call it a hustle because it seems as if it's illegal. No, hustle means working hard. You're working hard and you want to be able to account for it. So that's why we're here. How can we help you account for all the things that you do? Because the government, they tax you because they think that they have to babysit you. And they reward the rich who take the time to read their rules and contribute to society by putting money back into the economy with real estate and, investing in the stock market and all the things that matter to them. They don't consider the people who are essential. They consider the people who have money that put it back into their agenda.
And they hire smart people like you too.
They hire all of us. I just read on what's going on because I'm just like, is this what you guys do? Is this what you guys care about? And where our money is actually going. So I want to know what it is that you want to reap out of the fact that you're a Wakanna-preneur. And what you might be confused about, like, what do you have questions on? Because I'm going to send you documentation, because to talk about each document and each line on each document, we don't have that kind of time. I want you to pinpoint what's relative to you outside of this and with this, and I'll link with you at another time to speak in detail. Okay, well, this is what applies to you as far as health insurance go. Because we're self-employed, so you can be easily taking out a self-employment IRA, which helps you save more money than the traditional and Roth IRA. I don't know if you guys know that. I think it caps at like 6,500, 7,000. It's probably gone up. But if you're self-employed, you can save up to 25% of your income, maxing out at $56,000 a year. $56,000. But if you're going the traditional route at your job, right, or whatever it is, not self-employed, you're capping out on those traditional and Roth IRAs at about $6,000, $7,000. And your pension, not your pension, but your 401k, about 19,500, maybe 20,000 now.
Yeah.
You see that? But self-employment IRAs, nobody's chatting about those.
Yeah.
Nobody tells you you can have a whole life insurance policy and borrow against that, never having to go to the bank. And you could borrow against that money as if you never took out a dime and just replace it before you die. Excuse me, before you transition.
I'm interested in that.
Okay. Yeah. These are all of these things that you pay into that you get breaks on. That's a part of another extension of my financial literacy course. That's about financial literacy and cooperative economics. I'm trying to gear it towards Wakanna-preneur, but this ventures off into that. It's all connected. So I want to touch on every little thing. Health insurance is really important. Really, really important. And people who have HSAs, not HFAs, but HSAs, you put a good $3,500 in there max, maybe 4,000 now because it goes up like 250, 500 every year. That is a tax deduction. Your health insurance plan is a tax deduction. The one that you get at your job, they're like,
Mhm.
hey, just put a little money to the side in here for co-pays, But when
Are
you put that in
co-pays?
on your tax return, you're taking $3,500 off of what can be taxed because it's not there because you put it aside for emergency medical insurance.
Are co-pays tax deductible?
It depends on how many you've paid up to a certain amount. So if it passes 7.5% of your income that you paid, then they start counting the dollars after that. So it has to
But
reach a
like
certain amount.
the other sister said, mine's everything is so messy that I don't even. I mean, I like going forward now. Every copay that I have, I'll keep up with it because my copays are like $25,
Yes, ma'am.
and going forward, like I said, I think it's a good idea that I, save them that way. When it's time. I like the copays from last year. They're scatterbrained all over the place. I don't know where they are, but I'm
Easy to
quite
keep
sure I
up
have
with
a
it.
few of them. I'm
Mhm.
quite sure I have a few of them, but not the abundance that I put in
Mhm.
to use it in my tax return.
Like Fatima said, she scans her receipts, and that's the smartest thing to do because we know that receipts fade. But
No.
if you don't have time to do that, understand that you could just put your January receipts in a manila envelope. And within the last 2 to 3 days of the month, assess. I spent this money at, Market 32. I spent this money on gas and tolls. This money I spent on eating out. This money I spent on my hair. Assess how you've been spending your money. And then separate it from what was business and what was personal. And then see if you crossed it with different accounts because your checking account ending in 0001 could be for personal. This is when I went out to dinner with my friends and we had a good time at karaoke. That has
Mhm.
nothing to do with Wakanna, unless it does.
Mhm.
Because who is anyone to tell you that you did not conduct business while eating dinner at karaoke with your people?
Every time I go out,
you
I'm
that wasn't
thinking of
business?
Wakanna. So yeah, everything I do, especially if I'm having a social, and I'm thinking Wakanna, and how can I get these people scanned? So yeah, I'm always thinking about that.
Right. When you're passing out your business card, I don't care if you did it in 2 minutes. That bagel that you grabbed at Dunkin' Donuts and that
Mhm.
coffee, and then you gave over your information about that breakfast is on business right there. Right there. That's a business conversation. Again, be reasonable and customary, but if you're planning a dinner, especially if you planned it all out, that wouldn't have happened. That expense wouldn't have happened if it wasn't for you doing business. Understand that politicians and CFOs and doctors and lawyers, they're writing off as much as they can. And millionaires are getting refunds. Billionaires are getting refunds. Mark Zuckerberg got a refund one time I heard of about $500 million. And I was like, how? I love it. So if that can apply to him, that can apply to you. What is it that you can reap the benefits of when you assess? So we need to make sure that we're keeping our receipts in separate envelopes and assessing our spending. What is business? What is not? Taking the time, if we have the time, to scan that so that understanding when receipts fade, we do have proper record. And keeping our files separate from any other paperwork so that when it's time to account for everything, we don't feel like we're scrambling because it can be overwhelming. It can get overwhelming for me too if I don't keep account of it. Absolutely. And understand and know that you're not going to owe federal taxes so that you can claim exemption the next year. I know I'm not going to owe for 2021 and 2022. I know I'm not going to owe for 2022. So when they're asking me about 2023 and when I fill out my W-4s, I can claim exemption and not have to worry about paying federal taxes unless I want to. You can't avoid state taxes. You live in the state, you're going to pay state taxes. But federal taxes, they're trying to let you know they don't need your money. Because if they didn't need your money, it wouldn't be an option. They would just take it, right? Right. At the federal level, they do not need your money, but understand that when you tap too much into your federal taxes and claiming exemptions, 5, 9, and 10, and all this other stuff, you are running the risk of not having much of a Social Security check when you retire. So you can reap the benefits now, or you can be balanced. Claim 3 or 5 here and there. You know, have them take out an additional $5, $20. Understanding that by investing in your future, you're securing something for yourself. Social Security tax is really, really important. And they have a little separate spot for it, but that FICA, that's what that's about. That pays into your Social Security. It covers a lot of other things, but mainly focus on the fact that that's pouring back into you. Medicare tax, Social Security tax, FICA, yes. And put aside for your 401k if you can. I don't care if it's $20 every 2 weeks, start somewhere. But be investing in the time in which you're not going to be able to work, period. Put a little something to the side. Because tomorrow comes fast. Like every day tomorrow comes.
Stephanie.
You know? Mrs. Roberts?
Yes, ma'am. Can you say a little bit more about that federal piece you just talked about?
About not paying into your federal taxes and not having much of a Social Security check when you retire?
That part, yes.
Well, for example, I'll put myself on Front Street. I've been filing my own taxes ever since H&R Block thought it was okay to charge me $300 to process my paperwork when I made like less than $12,000. I think I was maybe like 20, 21 years old. I was like,
Okay.
oh, I'm never letting you all do my taxes again. This is ridiculous. I didn't even have $300 to give them. They had to take it out of, I don't even know where they got it from. I just remember being upset. So from that point on, I, a couple of years later when I was getting married, I needed to take more money out of my check. I needed more money to come home to me. I needed to net more money. See that? Your gross and your net are two different things. And
Correct.
based on your exemptions, you know how people claim 1 or 0, or they had
Yeah.
2 kids and a husband, so they claim like 3 or 4, whatever.
I do
Didn't have
single,
any of that.
0.
I claimed 9,
Oh,
and I saw an extra $100 in my check.
oh my. Yeah, that could be problematic.
Right. So you
And
keep
then
doing that, and you keep doing that, you are forfeiting the opportunity to have a healthy Social Security check unless you have another plan.
Okay, I follow.
You run the
Okay,
risk of
thank you.
also owing the government if you don't have a tax shelter. You see that? And you also run the risk of being audited or looked upon when you exceed a certain tax bracket. So you jump from like, say you jump from $80,000 to $400,000 a year. They're looking. They're looking at your tax preparer and they're looking at you. Okay, well, what's going on here? So don't just claim exemptions that you can't account for, especially when you start jumping tax brackets.
All right, teach, daughter, teach.
Yeah, don't get out of line. The
That's
IRS is quick to put you in line. They might be short-staffed, but they're not stupid.
Listen, I'm not trying to find out.
Me either.
Thank
Well,
you for that.
Stephanie,
Stay off the radar as much as you can, but please be cognizant of all the things that you're spending money on. And realize as an IBA, you're giving back to the community. Realize that when you're putting yourself out there doing all that community service, that's work.
Yes, ma'am.
All the gas money that you spend, all the, the snacks that you wind up buying, your homegirls' kids, for whatever it is. That takes time and that takes money.
So
And your
tracking
personal
things
money.
is so yeah. So tracking is so important each month.
You said traffic is slow each month?
I'm sorry, tracking our expenditures is so important each month.
I used to do it every day because I was just ODing it, but I tried to make an assessment of it at the end of the week. So it's Saturday, Sunday, depending upon. I'll spend a good hour or two just going over my Excel spreadsheet that accounts for my monthly income. I'll put
Okay.
in every bit of income that I make from everywhere. I don't care if it's interest and rewards on apps or anything like that. There's a line for that. It's called rewards and cash back.
Are you
That's
serious?
income. I'm not kidding.
Oh, okay.
I've been doing that since well, since I called myself getting married when I was married before.
Okay.
And then it just grew because income grew and
Yeah. Thank you, Stephanie.
absolutely. And if you want that spreadsheet, I can give that to you. I have to update it, but the template is what it is. And
I
it's
would
all
appreciate it.
populated with the
Sure.
formulas too.
Oh, yes, ma'am.
Mhm.
Do share.
Indeed.
Thank you, Stephanie.
Ladies,
The only person, I don't have the emails for you, Sherry, and you, Crystal. I know Stephanie said that she wants to get the email so that she can send you all some information after this. I have everyone else but Sherry and Crystal. So if you can text that to me, that would be great. And I will get all of the emails of everyone that's on this call too. I will give it to Stephanie.
Okay, how did you say send it to you, Fatima?
Just text it to me. You got my text, right?
Okay. I think so.
And Crystal, who's Crystal? Crystal Best.
I think there was a couple of other things that I wanted to cover. Not just a couple, but this branches off into so many things, ladies. Let's see.
Stephanie, I want to ask you about
Sure.
the IRAs, about the what's that, the 401 or the Roth
1K?
IRA? Yeah,
Yes,
right. So you saying like, so I have one, it's empty, but I can put money into it. Like
absolutely. Every
it's
year.
not flat empty, but it's almost empty. So can I build it up and just put money? So I can do that like with my having like maybe a percentage of my paycheck going into that, correct? All I have to do
Yes,
is just link it with my bank, right?
yes, ma'am.
Okay. Okay. And because I'm just saying, like you're saying, just preparing for the future. You know what I mean? So I just wanted to make sure that was a good idea.
It is a good idea. And when you could put more money into something else, like say an IRA is one example, but a 401k is another. So you can have two. Well, you'll
Mhm.
at that point you'll have three going on because you'll be paying into your federal taxes, which is for your Social Security. Then an IRA, whether it be traditional or Roth, pre-tax or
I
post-tax.
think that one is pre-tax,
Mm-hmm.
meaning like if you take money out, you'll be taxed already, right? That's what pre-tax is.
That's the traditional,
Oh,
if I'm
okay.
not mistaken,
Okay.
and the Roth is after. So it's just like
Okay.
when you finally cash out that Roth, you don't have to give them anything because you already gave them the money.
Okay.
If
Okay.
I'm mixing it up, I will send you the correction on that. But those are the differences between those two. And you
Okay.
can't cash them out until you're, if I'm not
50.
mistaken,
Well,
59 and a half.
well, they said it was 70, but it's 59.5.
Yeah, it should be.
Mm-hmm.
They want to 70. Just like nobody wants to wait to enjoy life and all that they work for until they're 70. That's another thing, ladies. That's why it's good that you are in a business where you can
Living it
liberate
where you
yourself.
can live. Yes, exactly. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Rolling my eyes, and that's honest. Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
if I
Wakanna for
can
life.
work with a team of people to help us all retire earlier so we can enjoy what life really has to offer.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And that's not being stuck working for somebody else with
Yeah.
their rules. Because I love work. I
Yeah.
just don't working for certain kinds of people.
Right.
I want
Right.
you all to have to work for anybody that you don't want to work for.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And ladies, God blessed me to retire in 07. I was 51, getting ready to turn 52. Yeah.
Wow.
Wonderful.
I,
Alhamdulillah.
Congrats.
Nice. Nice. Nice.
I worked at a plant and it was 30 and out. I got laid off. I was laid off 18 years. I went back, worked 3 years and got a pension for 30 an hour. Thank you, Lord.
Wonderful. Great. That's when they were
Wow.
still giving them pensions, man.
Yeah.
To get a pension now is, it ain't
We
gonna
were the
happen.
last. We were the last bunch. Yeah.
Yeah,
Wow.
pensions were a good thing.
Do teachers still get pensions? Like, I know police officers do and firefighters do and something else.
State workers, county,
State do.
government,
Yeah. Yeah.
you
Yeah.
still get your pension.
State does. Yeah, they do.
And so do
Stephanie,
teachers.
Yes.
go ahead.
You were saying, Fatima?
No, Mady was saying
Oh.
something.
Sorry.
Yes, teachers do have a retirement system.
Good. Okay,
Yeah.
so they get pension and
Yes.
401k and something else probably.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was gonna ask, can you talk to us about the financial benefit of going to conference and what to put away and how that's going to benefit our taxes, actually get us more money back than what we put in.
Okay. So you understand that by coming to conference, okay, number one, you're going to be in the presence of Wakanna-preneurs and people who actually founded this business that will really relaunch your business from a professional and personal perspective. So it's going to give you a bigger outlook on what it is that you're really involved in when you come in connection with the people who really started it all. Okay, so you have that, and relationships, positive relationships mean more than any amount of money that you could ever have. So what you really need to realize is that when you're investing in a business like Wakanna, you're investing in the power of great relationships, So know that. Now, getting to the financial piece, getting the heart piece out there first, and now the financial piece. You're writing off that travel, you know that, right? That airline ticket is a write-off. It's for business. You wouldn't have gone on the conference to that trip.
Yeah,
if it
but
wasn't
that's
for
for
it.
next year though, right, Stephanie?
That's for this. Yeah, well, that's for next year. But that
Okay.
applies to people who went
Yeah.
on
Yeah.
conferences, whether they be via
That's why
Zoom,
the
because there
sister
was a couple
said,
that I've
yeah.
gone on, bought
Okay.
tickets to things. You can write all that
Gotcha.
off.
Yeah. Gotcha.
So the
Anything
trip
that
that
you
I
purchase
made
while you're
to,
there is a write-off too. All those meals, were you going to eat a meal in Vegas otherwise?
Okay.
Even
I
the
got
meal
you.
on the way, even the
Gotcha.
meal
so
on the way.
That
trip that I made
entire
to New
time
York,
frame.
Yeah. Yeah. I see. It's gonna be a beautiful, it's gonna be a beautiful thing.
And Vegas, I will just say it like it is. You know, you can travel and do whatever it is that you like with your time out there. Planet 13 is out there, and I will leave it at that. You can do your research on those two things that I just said, Planet 13, and I'm leaving it alone. It's a good time.
What's Planet 13?
Google it. I
Google
will send you
it.
the link.
Research.
It's a
so
good
I
time.
have my hand up. It's Maggie.
Hi.
Just wanted to clarify, I came out to New York to help when Fatima launched her, opened up the studio. So
Mind, body,
can I
soul.
use
Mhm.
that?
Of course,
Well, I didn't know.
most definitely.
Well, I didn't know.
Anything
I
having
love
to
the
do
word.
with Mind, Body, Soul Studio, even, that's still within your business. This is your space for business. So this is your business space.
And they can't deny that because, well, it has all of the emblems and information on it that connects it back with Wakanna. It says the crown jewel of CBD right at the bottom of one of the posters. So it's just like, it's undeniable. You can tie everything back. Take whatever pictures you need, whatever copies of receipts, legitimize everything that you do because you can. And you have all of us to back you up.
So Stephanie, first of all, thank you so very much. This is like awesome. I also do my own taxes, but I don't own a business operationally anyway. So this is a new layer for me. And I don't want to mess it up. I probably will mess it up a little bit. I'll fix it
We
before.
got us. We got you.
Okay, it's part of the journey. I'm all right with it. But so how do you document each hustle? You do document each hustle separately, right?
Absolutely. They each get their own Schedule C.
Okay.
Yes,
Oh.
ma'am.
And on the point about continuity and not raising any red flags, will it raise red flags if all of a sudden this year you got 2 and 3 hustles?
I think you should
Well, your bills don't stop
categorize.
and they don't question that.
Well, you know how it goes. I'm giving in on that end.
Yes, ma'am.
What you grabbed, it didn't grab, so.
So
You
you
account
can
for everything that you do.
categorize everything that you do. So
Mhm.
one would be meals, another would be travel, another one would be entertainment, whatever that may be. I think if everything is categorized, it would probably be easier
Mhm.
for you. And then for me, actually, then that way I can pass it on to you. And then it'll make you, when you're doing your magic, that everything will fall in line. So I think it's categorized in everything that you need.
I'm going to be sending
Let me
everyone that I
ask you.
can. Yes, ma'am. Mhm.
So,
And I'm going to come back to you, Kai Davis, in a second. What were you saying, Teresa?
all right. So last year I bought a share, right, into Wakanna, right?
Amen.
So next year, is that part of it too? Part of it too?
Oh, you know it is.
Wow, that's amazing.
Well,
What
she bought
expense
that
could that be?
last year, actually, so it go on this year's taxes, right?
Right. Whatever you spent goes towards this year, last year, moving forward, whatever it is. It applies to that fiscal year, that fiscal tax year. Whatever
Okay.
you spend in 2022, we're calculating
Oh,
up in
right.
2023. 2023,
Okay.
2024, moving forward. Absolutely.
I gotta find some receipt. I gotta find some medical receipts. Yeah. And I gotta find my receipt for well, I don't know how I would find that. I would have to I would have to ask
Do
Fatima.
people, does everyone use cash as much as they use their card? Do you swipe to pay for things, or do you actually hand in cash?
When I finished paying it off, I used my card. The first
Amen.
time
You have a receipt.
You got a
I
receipt.
had cash. The first time I used cash though.
Okay. Well, using your card is advantageous for those who are not going to keep up with receipts, because a bank statement is a record of receipts.
Oh, okay. I can get that.
Miss Davis, are you still there?
I am.
Okay, so back to what you were saying about keeping an account of each and every hustle. Absolutely. And keep those receipts separate too. I'm big on receipts because that is money.
Mm-hmm.
You know why it's money? Because it records the money that you spent.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
So just keep it all in line to say, this is what I've been doing. Because believe it or not, everybody who has money, who is rich, has somebody keeping account for every nickel that they've spent. It has to zero out. That's what an accountant does. They account for every dollar that you spend, and it has to balance out on each side so it can zero out. That is our job. It is our job to take the money off the table. It is our job to tell you to put $600,000 into real estate so you don't have to pay taxes on it unnecessarily.
Mhm.
You come to us and say, "Oh, Steph, do you think I should buy that boat?" No, I'm like, "Girl, buy that BMW hybrid,
Mhm.
double write off. Do you even know how to swim? Why are you buying a boat like that?
Right. Make it make sense. That's right.
Do you have a life jacket? Do you have life insurance? You want a boat? Do you have whole life insurance? Because you can't swim. Like, what are we doing? What are we doing? I want us to move in decency and in order when we handle our finances. And then when we do that for ourselves, we will better deal with each other as people. See, I don't know how other cultures have managed to do it, because they could do it and not like each other at all. But you know how we are as people, as this color people, we want to have to like you in order to do things with you. And other cultures don't even care about that.
Yeah.
How are we going to keep our bottom line in place so that we don't fall? That's what they do.
Absolutely. Yeah. And what's the bottom line?
Doesn't like each other.
I'm sorry.
Every white person, an orange person, and green person, we don't have to do all that. It's respect. We really have to get into the habit of respecting one another. And that's what cooperative economics is about. But if you don't respect yourself, and respect your finances, and respect what you have, because everybody thinks they don't have enough. I don't have enough. How much money do you spend on snacks? Because I know I spend about $75 a week on snacks. I'm talking about cookies, Sour Patch Kids, pretzels, ice cream. How much money are you loosely spending, not pooling it in with the rest of your people, whoever you consider your people, to make something bigger happen for your future, for your legacy, for your whatever it is? This is all leading up into a bigger picture, but we're going to start with being an IBO. Excuse me, a Wakanna-preneur. And
So
Kyle,
I have my hand up for a minute. This is Maggie again.
hi, Ms.
Thank you
Carter.
for everything. You are really dropping some good jewels here for us. Thank you so much.
You're more than
I
welcome.
want to share last year, and that was put in as income.
Mm-hmm.
So if it's put in as income, it's taxable. How
It
does-
was put in as income. The fact that you bought a share or you won a share. I'm
I
listening.
want to share.
Oh,
And when
yeah.
I got my 1099, it was that amount for that share was added into
Yes. it
my
was.
little stuff, which made me have to have a 1099.
Because they gave you money. It was worth that much. So that's why they gave it to you. But now here's where you offset that. How much money did you spend? I know that let's say everything totaled to be $3,100, $3,169.42. I'm just throwing out numbers. But you spent $4,240. Now you're in the hole by whatever the difference is. You see that?
Right, right.
That is what I'm talking about. People don't get overly concerned about how much money did you make. How much money do you actually have left? Is what I'm
Got it.
focusing.
That's priceless. Thank you.
I have another question, if you don't mind.
I don't.
It's not exactly this Wakanna stuff, but if you are a person that's a board member or you sit on a foundation, are you able to do anything taxable with that as a write-off?
That depends. It's a case-by-case basis. I would have to look into the details of what it is that you're doing. I'm not able to say yes or no without actually looking at what it is.
Okay, thank you.
All right, so I'm here for you. And remember, not just me, it's 5 of us, consulting with you.
I'm wondering, can we write off the time that we donate to a 501c3? Like if we're working on organizing events and doing things like that, can we value our time that we're volunteering to do this work and write that off as a donation?
So here's the thing. We're going to have to translate that time into the cliche that time is money. How can you show that you were spending time? What were you doing when you were spending that time? Because they're going to really look for what your expenses were. They're looking for that. Now, time, I'm going to do a little research on that. How can we account for the time that we put into something? Because, they're going to want receipts. They're going to want receipts. So how can we account for that? That is a good question. I'll do some more research on it to see if we can really equate time into money and put a value on that and see if they'll go for it. Because, they make up rules all the time. So let's see what they'll accept. I'll research.
Yeah. And, we pay dues and things like that. Can you write off tithes?
You can write off charitable contributions. You can. My dad writes off his, so.
Can time go into that?
Charitable contributions, though. I don't know if it goes under the word tithes. I don't want to say I don't know. I can't readily remember off the top of my head if I've seen
Charitable
the exact word
contribution.
tithing.
Charitable contributions.
You're agreeing with me, right?
Charitable contributions, yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because I haven't seen the word tithes in any electronic software for taxes in ever.
Charitable.
Okay. And for your 501c3s, that is that's a wonderful tax shelter. And I'm going to leave it at that because we can branch off into that in a different segment of a workshop. But that is a wonderful thing to have. And any woman in here or man in here that has been consulting and giving their time all these years, that is a perfect window for you to not to have to pay sales tax on things that apply to business. I have a friend of mine, she's had her 501c3 for 12 years. And she literally hands in that document. There's a document she kept handing in. So she doesn't have to pay sales tax on anything.
I have a
Just-
question for you, Stephanie. Do you and your group do taxes for 501c3, and do you do it for Illinois? Because I'm in Illinois.
I can inquire with them if anyone is operating in Illinois. Right now I'm operating. I don't think that the state is the concern because all of them have clientele that is out of state, and so do I. So I can double check with them, and the answer is for me, yes. And then I'll ask them, but I don't want to assume for them, but the last time I
Well,
checked,
I'm
for me
asking because if
personally,
you do
it's
it,
been a
then
yes.
that's fine. If it's something you do, that's fine. I don't necessarily need them then, because like you said, you have them as part of
Sure,
you.
gotcha. Yes, ma'am.
Did you put your contact information in the chat or somewhere?
I think I did in the Facebook Messenger, but I can put it in this chat too. Is it readily? I think it'll be reached better if I just put it in our group chat in Facebook Messenger, because you can always refer back to that.
That's
You want me
fine.
to put it there? Okay,
Cool, thanks.
absolutely.
Did
put it
you
there.
say,
And likely the information that she'll be sending out to everyone, and I do have your emails. I'm just waiting for Sherry and Crystal.
Okay, I thought I sent it. Let me see.
I didn't look, that's all. You probably did. I didn't look.
Fatima, I sent my email in the chat.
Okay, Crystal.
Ladies, my wheels are turning back to Kai Davis for something, but Kai, I'm probably going to reach out to you through Facebook Messenger personally, because I feel like there was something that I wanted to say about the questions that you had, but I didn't touch on it. But yes, each side hustle, keep your expenses for each of them separate, because it brings down your income to whatever it is. You could have spent $10,000 on each of them and only made $2 for each. And you see how that's negative 8,000 times 3, and that's $24,000 that they can't tax because it's not there.
right.
No, definitely. Thank you. I'm looking forward
You know
to
what I'm
this. I kind of love the whole taxes thing.
Yeah, I do too.
So all of those Schedule Cs for each individual side hustle, all of that is going to be combined then on your 1040? Okay. And my other question was on the when we bought the Founders Pack this year, what expense can I say that is an expense, and if so, what kind of expense?
If I'm not mistaken, that is, yes, Ms. Dover. If I'm not mistaken, and I'm sorry to cut you off, that is inventory, if I'm not mistaken. Now, it could be labeled as something in addition to that, but more than anything, that is inventory. Those are supplies.
Okay.
So if you want to count it as inventory or supplies, I count it as inventory. But it's also a couple of those things in there are supplies as well, like, and then uniforms. So it all depends on what you purchase within there. I would have to know, it's case by case basis, but it falls under inventory. There's something different. Inventory, uniforms, and I don't want to call it office supplies. There's another word for it. I'm going to do the research, but there's 3 different things that I have right off the top of my head for that. But that is that's the biggest expense.
One of the things that I remember being told is I've been in a couple of social media marketing businesses or network marketing businesses or multi-level marketing business, whatever you want to call it.
Yes.
And that is that we wanted to keep account of our beginning inventory and our ending inventory.
Yeah.
And that your beginning inventory your ending inventory should equal your beginning or be more, which shows an initial investment. It should never go below. Your ending inventory should not be below your beginning, because then it demonstrates an embezzling of your business. You're embezzling your own business.
To a degree, that there's a level of truth in there, but I want us to acknowledge the fact that you could have ethically and honestly sold most of your product before you had a chance to re-up it. Like, what if you are sold out? Now, the chances of that happening are very, very slim, but they're not impossible. But you are right in that respect. You do not want to make it seem as because people are gonna think that you are having a clearance because you're closing. Like, how do you not have any inventory at the end of the year? Like, are you
Yeah.
accounting for it? So you have to be careful. Like I said, reasonable or usual and customary business practices. You can't
Yeah.
just go in there looking like, like there's nothing left, because are you really accounting for everything? So Fatima, you are absolutely right, but
Yeah.
ladies, do take into account that, there could be
And especially if
if
you're using, if you're doing this as your business, there are many of the Wakanna-preneurs in simply to get a 20% discount. So they're doing it as a hobby, just, purchasing their own products and maybe for the family. Very unlikely that they're going to date a 1099, okay? Because they're just getting a commission on the products that they purchase. But if you're really building this as a business, and especially if you've become a founder and such like that, and you're interested in moving this into an income producing business, then you want to monitor that inventory. Okay, so your beginning inventories include whatever dispensaries you've purchased, because you're getting ready to write off those dispensaries. So it has to include the value, right, of the inventory of each dispensary that you purchase. That's whether you started with a starter kit, you add it to that, you upgrade it, right? That's what we call it, upgrade. That means adding more inventory into your crown jewel. Then maybe you move from a crown jewel into a founder. All those came with dispensaries and upgrades to those dispensaries. So you want to keep account of what the value of those dispensaries were, and they allow you to, look back and see what was the inventory in there. Now you can change the content of your inventory, but you want to maintain the value of the inventory. So maybe you don't want those King of the Jungles, and you sold all the King of the Jungle capsules, and you really don't sell King of the Jungle capsules. But you've replaced the value of that inventory with some pain cream, because you know that those pain creams are a hot seller that you keep in your inventory. Okay, so the value of the inventory is important. So, and even if you decrease the value of your, let me ask this, Stephanie, because I remember hearing this too, so you can clear it up. If you can choose to decrease the value of your inventory, but you have to give account as to the reason why that increase is going.
Right.
You're making the decrease.
Right. And people do that a lot for food. Let's just simply talk about food and how they put that at a discount when it gets old. When you see that 30 cents off the chicken or the salad at Price Chopper, they're like, okay, so this is first in, first out, last in, first out, the FIFO LIFO situation, where they're trying to get out the product that is going to spoil and things of that nature. So that is why people get to discount items for the fact that it's aging out, and you still want to make some level of profit or at least break even on that on that product. So that is why you can account for the fact that you were able to lower the price on certain things, but you have to keep really, I don't want to say copious notes. You would have to keep tight books on that, like why and when. And it needs to be consistent. It can't just be randomly discounting things. Unless you want to have a sale, you can do that. But don't just be willy-nilly. Just try to be consistent when you're keeping a log of those things.
Yeah.
Like maybe pain cream, I don't want to say pain cream because that's not right. Gummies after a certain time frame they're not gumming as you would like them to be. Like I tried to bite into a gummy a year and something later. I was like, oh, well, that's different. That is going to be a free gummy at that point. And I would give it to no one, but you do not want to, let your product age and think that it's going to be of the same value. It either needs to be free or trashed. And you need to account for the fact that that is a loss. It is a loss on you. But at that point, that is how you're going to account for those things. That's why
I'm gonna
make it 0.2.
I'm gonna make a note that we might need a conversation on inventory. Because through the year, we do increase our inventory. There have been many of us on the line that from 2021 to 22, we've increased our inventory by purchasing another Founders Pack. That's a founding members dispensary. So we chose to increase our inventory. And that's why I've often tried to teach that when you sell something, you replace it and you earn the commission. You don't sell it and then keep the money and pocket the money. Okay, so you're rotating. So if you're going to claim your purchase of inventory on your taxes, which you should, then you have to account for that inventory.
Yeah, and that's
so we
why
might want to do maybe a separate training on inventory management.
Not a problem.
Yes, please do a separate training on that.
So how do quarterly sales tax, how does that come into play, or does it?
It doesn't. Wakanna's responsible for the tax. You're not responsible for paying tax on or collecting tax on the products that you sell.
Okay, so they do all of that. Now, if we do separate side hustles, that might be a different story.
That's a different story. Like, when we set up for vending, some vendors require, organizers require that you display the New York State tax form so that you are collecting the tax. You're demonstrating that this is why you're collecting the tax. We as distributors of a company that earn commission do not collect tax on products that we sell.
Okay, well, that helps a lot. That was really a big reason why in the past, I didn't even bother with going down that road. I watch all my business owner friends dealing with quarterly sales tax, and I'm like, no, thank you, please.
That's the advantage of being part of a multi-level marketing company or a network marketing company, because they take on all of, the corporate, at the corporate level, all of that is taken on.
Okay.
So if you ever ask, when you're vending, if you need that you need to display the tax form, or you have to give that number for your tax account or whatever that is, sales tax, you just simply write not applicable, distributor of an MLM.
Okay, that's good.
And as far as our dispensaries, we're basically online, and they had kind of geared it. Well, Fatima, I know you have your own brick and mortar, but they basically did it so we wouldn't have to keep inventory, and we could send people to the website.
Right.
So for the
But
ones
you've
that
still purchased your inventory. You still purchased an inventory. And that's only important if you're building the business and you're going to account for the purchase of these inventories or dispensaries, right? Because you purchased the pack. That's an upgrade in your dispensary. That's more product that is added to the dispensary. If you're in it as a hobby and you're not going to be filing a Schedule C, you're not going to be getting a 1099, there's no worries, because you're doing it at a hobby level. But if you're going to claim it, you got to demonstrate that it's still in your business. That's part of your business. And again, we need to do a whole thing on inventory management.
You speak of a hobby level, and I tried to keep mine at a hobby level. And after November, and getting the gift of the the pack, founders pack, I ended up having to receive a 1099. If I received a 1099, then I'm obligated to file taxes, right?
Mm-hmm. Because the income knows you got it. IRS knows you got it. And it's not a hobby if
No,
you're
no, I
doing,
mean, quote
if you're
unquote.
working the business. Hmm?
I'm only saying quote unquote because you are
Oh, okay.
stating a hobby.
Yeah.
In all honesty, because I had not done so much, I was hoping to stay below the 1099.
But you know, too, in Wakanna, you could be doing it, say, I'm doing it as a hobby and just getting my own personal products and just, you know, just with my friends. But you may have found this dynamo that says, I want to do this too, and they're under you and they're just running off. And you're there collecting money that's going to generate a 1099.
Yeah, I know all about it.
You know, so that's the nature of this business. You can make money even if you're doing it as a hobby.
Or even if you're doing nothing.
Even if you're doing, right, Stephanie? Even if you're doing nothing, to see money, and she's speaking from experience, seeing money pop into her e-wallet, and she was doing nothing.
Yeah, I had to take some time off. But
That's
this
the
woman-
nature of our business.
Yeah, that when they tell you that you can make money in your sleep, it's not a joke. It's really not. This woman accidentally, and I don't care about the repercussions of me saying it. She accidentally trying to register into Wakanna registered under me. I still never met her to this day. She is the reason why I was able to have a side. I don't even know where it came from. An extra $2,000 set to the side to help me move into my new luxury apartment complex. So I live near Fatima because this lady was just buying stuff and had people buying stuff. She was just doing her part.
And bringing on team members.
What'd you say?
And bringing on team members.
Yeah, she built her
So you
business.
had somebody working under you that you've never met.
And I was like, oh, so this, and I never experienced multi-level marketing working for me because I always worked it. And anything that I did was the reason why I had any money from it. Never did I register anybody that did anything under me. And so I just kept looking and I'm like, yeah, this woman is working and I'm only getting a fraction of what she's doing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I couldn't even imagine if they gave me 50%. They were only even, what is it, 15, 20, 15?
Yeah.
15.
20% of everything that's you purchase, and a 20% rebate on everything you purchase and your friends purchase from your personal site. 20%, you're guaranteed. That's the bottom of everything. You're always going to get money from Wakanna. And that's the point. Javarius looked at this, and he is a dynamic network marketer, have been in the industry for years.
Mhm.
And network marketing is a dynamic industry. It's like franchising with zero money. And he's been in it for years. And when he took a look at Wakanna, he says, somebody don't know what they're doing. This is what Withwood says. Somebody doesn't know what they're doing because they're giving away too much money. There's something going on here because they're giving away a lot of money. He's had to work hard, and I can attest to that too, that you had to work hard to get to levels where you're earning income or have the opportunity to take that money off the table and put it in your pocket. You know, you have all these avenues to really take a look at. You really got to take a look at this company. And if you go to conference, which I hope most of you on this call are going, that you're going to see, you get to see the big picture. You get to meet every single person that you've been seeing on Zoom and or on the calls or hearing their voice. You get to meet, talk to them, hear what their tips are for how they got there. You will always walk away with a whole lot more than you went with. And that's going to impact your business 5 times. Okay, so you can increase your income coming out of Wakanna 5 times just by going to conference. You know, so I hope that you all are planning on doing that, and we'll see everybody live there. Stephanie?
I wanted to close with what,
Before you close, Maggie, is that your hand raised or you didn't let it down?
No, I didn't let it down. I'm sorry.
Oh,
It's
okay.
okay.
All right. I just wanted to make sure everybody, yeah, because we're getting ready to the top of the hour. Go ahead, Stephanie. Thank you.
I wanted to close with the fact that understand that these financial literacy workshops are rooted in the belief and the hopes that we understand the power of the cooperative economics it takes to get here. When we come together to participate in something on one accord consistently, great things can happen. Like if we all just decided to just get our products every month consistently and find a couple of people who are interested in buying the products consistently, even if they didn't want to build, even that is a start to getting us all on one accord to be a part of this business and build it. Everybody agrees to go to Walmart without a second thought. Whether you realize it or not, that is a multi-level marketing business because somebody's at the top and you are at what level you are at feeding it. And that's all of us working together to make sure that the, what are they called? The Waldorfs, the whatever their name is, are billionaires. If we work together as a team of people who believe in something, we will all be at an advantage. No matter how much money we're making, we all pull it together to take care of one another. Cooperative economics is going to get us ahead. We just have to choose what it is that we're going to invest in together. Does that make sense? Do I have any other questions for this night? And if you don't have any questions right now,
I have a question.
yes, ma'am.
First, I have an appreciation. I think we want to say a big thank you to you, Stephanie. You are a genius when it comes to money. I've seen her. If you all have watched, what did I say? You were like Barker on Living Single. Somebody help me.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I forgot his first name, but yes, Maxine
Kyle.
Shaw.
Kyle.
Kyle Barker, yes.
Kyle Barker on Living Single. If you ever seen him, he holds this calculator. He's talking to you. He's calculating the buttons, and then he comes back and tells you what it was. I've seen her do that. So she's a financial genius, and the value of her time is we've used a lot of time that is of much value, and she's donated to us as a team, and we should really show our appreciation for that.
I really love
Thank
you
you.
guys.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Stephanie, I appreciate you. I'm grateful for you. Thank you.
Oh, anytime. And Fatima, attitude reflects leadership. So I'm doing this because we're receiving that same thing from you at all times. You make yourself available at all times, and you are so valued, just the same and more. So thank you for being the example that we need to springboard into success. Ladies, it has been a pleasure. I will send my email.
We're gonna send out a request to Stephanie before she jumps off. You all need, I'll give you her email to convince her to do this at least monthly, but we need to come together and talk financially, to increase ourselves. This is a wonderful, I would hope to be a jumping off point to just having discussions. It doesn't have to be formal. It could just be, things that we've learned and information that we want to have, and not that it needs to be all on Stephanie. Maybe some of us will take charge doing the thing. Let it be organic and see what happens. Organic things, things done on spontaneity sometimes really far exceed what our expectations are. So let's keep a lookout and see, maybe this is something we want to do on a regular basis. What do you say to that? Any thumbs up for a regular financial engagement with each other, just talking.
I totally,
Getting information.
totally agree.
Yeah.
Second emotion.
We need to talk
Yeah.
about bills, trust. Yes, because now
Absolutely.
everybody's
Yes,
over,
thank you,
you're
Ms.
gonna have some real estate, you're gonna have property, who you're gonna leave it to. We need to talk about all of that.
Yes, all
I
of
don't
that.
want anybody to have to experience any tragedy in order to talk about how to get their finances in order. And unfortunately, the death of my mom in 2018 led us to activate. And I don't want that to happen to any of you. You shouldn't have to lose somebody to gain knowledge.
Yeah. Amen. Thanks, Stephanie. Thanks, everybody who's
Thank you,
on
Stephanie.
tonight.
Thanks,
We
everyone.
we do have it recorded. So once you get off, I'll have that recording available as well.
Good night, ladies. You're beautiful.
Good
You're
night.
successful.
Stay
And we'll see you
well.
at the top.
I always like to say good
Good night. Thank you
business.
so much,
Good
Stephanie.
Good business.
Thank you.
Yes,
Good
Stephanie.
business. Thank you.
Thank you,
Good
Fatima.
business.
Business. Good night.
Like we used to say, good hair. You don't say thing. You say good hair. That's why we say good business.
Business.
Good business. Good night.
Good night.
Thank you.